My name's Brett Barrett. I'm the Managing Director of Warrior Doors in Birmingham. For us, this event is aptly named Vision because it stands for everything that we believe doors should be. Doors shouldn't look like this, which was a site I was at Milton Keynes yesterday, surveying for some new doors. And it's hard to believe that people actually live in places like this. Does anyone know where the term daylight robbery come from? Well, it was from a tax that was introduced by William III in the 1690s, causing the aristocracy to brick up windows. It was a window tax that was put on buildings and caused them to quickly brick up as many windows as they could, minimising as much light as they could coming into their buildings to prevent them to avoid them paying tax. And Warrior Doors' vision is that our products are designed to maximise the amount of light and visibility coming in through our doors. And we believe that people have a right to light, and it should be criminals behind bars, not law-abiding tenants, shop owners, or law-abiding citizens. So Warrior Doors is a family business. It's myself, my wife, my son in the business. We've been trading now for 18 years. Our first 12 years was predominantly in the social housing sector. And after some successful LPS testing, which we embarked on about 6 years ago, we've moved up into higher security markets. We've got successfully tested products up to security rating 4, LPS 1175, security rating 4, and secure by design, past 24. We've also got ballistic testing to FB4, that's a 44 Magnum. We also have ISO 9001 for design, manufacture and installation, all three elements of making doors. Our customers, so financial sector, over 40% of the cash, all the cash in circulation in the United Kingdom is kept behind, safe behind a Warrior Door. Museums and art galleries, critical national infrastructure, high value retail, and social housing. This was a project that we did for the V&A Museum. This was a £30 million necklace that belonged to Elizabeth Taylor that Richard Burton bought for her. And we were given the project to secure it while it was on display at an Italian fashion exhibition last year. None of the owners, Bulgari, know or knew, even to this day they don't know who made that cabinet. It was done in complete secrecy. It was a challenge and it had to be done very quickly, delivered on time, all which we managed to do. So I wanted to talk, I suppose, a little bit about social housing, new builds, where you've got new buildings being built. Why do doors fail? What are some of the failings on doors? We're currently replacing, actually this week, even tomorrow and the rest of the week, we're replacing 10 doors and frames, large doors and frames, combination frames in Brixton, worth about £86,000. And the oldest of those doors is only 12 months old. So this is a new building. The oldest door is only 12 months old. The youngest door is only 3 months old. And we've already ripped them out and fitted new doors on them. So, and we estimate at the moment that about between 20 and 25% of all the doors that we're installing are doors less than 2 years old, which is an incredible indictment on the design of those, and the manufacture of those doors. Some of the failings are GRP. GRP is a massive problem that we find. This is more of an old style GRP door, commonly used in common entrance doors. You can see how the timber fails inside them, they're never weathertight, untreated timber, and you can see how the doors just bend and flex. So we manufacture our doors in 75% of the doors that we sell we manufacture in stainless steel, 304 grade stainless steel. They can be powder coated or finished polished stainless steel. 25% of the doors that we make will be used in lower security, lower footfall areas. In our doors, in all our doors, stainless steel and aluminium doors, we incorporate strategically placed hardwood cedar sections, which all our fixings go into. Again, that's a unique method of door manufacture. And our experience with communal entrance doors is that magnetic locks work and work very well if the doors are designed and built correctly. However, magnetic locks are only really any good up to past 24. Anything higher than that, and then they're not really much good for anything else. So they can be vandal resistant and low maintenance if they're incorporated into a door that's built right. On the other hand, if you've got a magnetic lock and you want it to go into a higher security, that's also no good. So it's about specifying the right type of lock for the right application that you're going into. You could, for instance, fit a very high security lock, which we might get a security rating of 4 on. I could put that on a council estate, and I could guarantee you by the end of the day I'd have someone from a housing officer calling me and saying that door's failed, you know, and because you go back to the site and the kids will put bottle tops in it, lollipop sticks, stones, anything to make that mechanical lock not work properly. And so it's really about having the lock and the door designed compatible for each other and for the purpose it's meant to be doing. So here's some magnetic locks, for instance, which have been fitted into some aluminium posts, and they've ripped out. They've actually been ripped out. On a Warrior door, we only use like a 3mm, either stainless steel or aluminium lock. Armature plates screwed back. They're surface mounted and screwed back into the cedar timber inside the frame. And never have we ever had one of these fail. All our mag locks all have tamper-proof fixings, which you can't get the bit packs for. Another big problem with hinges is that people tend, with steel doors and aluminium doors, they tend to just tap them or use rivet nuts to fix the hinges back into the steel. This is no good. It's no good. You end up with probably, over the whole of the door, you probably only end up with about 70mm of contact. On a Warrior door, you end up with about 350mm of contact because we're going the full fixing back into the wood all the way through. So you get another problem is pivot hinges. Pivot hinges, again, don't work, they'll drop. You can see here on the bottom, typical, this is very, very typical. You get heavy doors and the pivots drop, so it goes back into the hinge on the bottom and drops away from the hinge on the top. So at Warrior, we design our own full-length finger-safe hinges, so you can put your fingers into the back of a Warrior door. We've got some over on our stand, and you shut the door and your fingers are still safe down there, hanging jam. All our doors are fully welded. There's no mechanical fixings in our doors. They're fabricated. They're all TIG welded and MIG welded strategically, so the doors don't drop, they don't twist, and they'll stand and be secure. They can take a huge amount of abuse, as you'll see in a little video clip later on. But we fully expect our doors to outlast the buildings that they're going into. So you can see on here, just small pictures, but you can see how the fingers go into the back. Also, it's important where the door closers go on. This is another problem. The hinge, like the door closer, they're common for getting ripped off and pulled off or blown off with the wind. Okay, so again, with the cedar inserts, we can fix back into that and make a solid fixing. Up into the head and into the door. Antisocial behaviour is another issue, and I went to a site in Wales a couple of years ago, and I was surveying down the one side of the road, came back up the other side of the road. When I got to the back of the block, there was just an opening to measure. There wasn't a door there to measure, so I measured the opening. Didn't think anything of it, nothing even entered my mind, and I went to the next door block, and there was an old chap digging his his plot of garden, and he said, that was an easy door to measure, wasn't it? I said, it was, yeah. He said, do you know what happened there? I said, no. He said, the tenants wanted a barbecue. So they ripped off their own hardwood security back door, chopped it up with a chainsaw, and had a barbecue with their own hardwood security back door. 2 weeks later, they wanted another barbecue, so they ripped that off, ripped the frame out, chopped up the door frame, and had a barbecue with a load of door frame. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't believe some of the things we come across. People tying doors to cars, ripping them off, and pulling doors off. So doors have got to be able to stand up to the things that you wouldn't normally expect, and certainly are not included in any of the LPS testing or in any of the PAS 24 testing. So there's another dimension to doors and the build and the thought that goes into doors. Okay, so another contributing factor was when the introduction of the Disability Discrimination Act was made, what that meant was doors had to become wider in order for access by wheelchair access. Another thing was that doors had to incorporate vision panels, so more vision panels were included in the doors. The consequence was, with more weight, more width, more glass, the doors became heavier, and people just carried on building these wider and wider doors, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. You find that the doors eventually just drop. And continually we're replacing doors that fail because the hinges and the design of the hinges, they're not able to cope with the weights of the doors, especially when they're steel doors. And so in 18 years of manufacturing doors, we have never ever had a Warrior door fail, ever. Every Warrior door that we've made is still installed today and doing the job it was meant to do. So one of the other problems is bin doors, kids lighting fires in bin doors. Again, I'm talking just really social housing here at the moment and thinking about that. But in one block of flats in Birmingham, some kids lit a fire in a bin shed. And the smoke went up through the floors, the smoke seals failed on the 7th, 8th and 9th floors, causing people to have to be evacuated off the balconies with a Simon snorkel, giant, fire brigade's cherry picker. So the amount of damage that can be done just through, not having bin doors. In Coventry, we had a guy earlier this year caused over 40 fires in a 1 month period. And he was up on one of the floors and he was throwing paper down the lift, lighting the paper and sending it down the chute in his own block. It's like someone sitting on a branch and then cutting the branch off if they're on a tree. So bin stores, we make good bin stores that you get the bin men. Bin men are a nightmare. They just come crashing and bashing the bins into the doors, destroying them. You can have lovely doors, all powder coated, but they can end up looking a right mess in just a very short period of time. So stainless steel, you can jet wash these doors down and they'll carry on looking like that. Again, for the life of the block, no reason why they can't. So again, if we build prisons, we get prisoners, and we're expecting, honestly, really, are we expecting people to live in these places? I wouldn't want to live in these places. There's no reason why people have to live in these kind of places, and it's so important to design out this fortress mentality. One of the things that we've noticed is that as we've gone in, we open up these blocks, we don't get the vandalism. If the buildings are light and bright and well lit and you've got high visibility, people don't stand behind them and use them as a toilet. People don't sit on the stairs behind them and do their drink and cans and do the other things they do. You find that people see things differently. And we've just been amazed over the years. There's some sort of psychology to do with it. If you create these dark and dingy places, you end up, people congregating in them, but you don't when the places are lit up and well lit. So some befores and afters. These are fairly typical, as again, say, social housing situations there. You can also see on the picture on the right there, there's the LEDs. We incorporated a little LED light over our doors as an option, which they look great of a night time. In the winter, they light the blocks up as you're walking up to them, and it looks really smart. So we do a lot of tower blocks, new build and refurbishment blocks. Okay. You can see the LED light again on the front of that one. That picture was taken at 11 o'clock at night. We didn't realise how late it was, and one of the tenants came out and thought it was lightning. It was that flash on the camera. But, so good on them. We do high street, high value retail is a big aspect of our work. So we do work for some of the high-end jewellers, Rolex dealers. So we're just beginning to do some work down in London, in Bond Street, Oxford Street. We're also doing sliding doors. This is a slider here. I'm sorry that it's not a video showing that sliding door working. But we then, the guy talking about BIM modelling, we're just starting, we've just got a KTP project with Wolverhampton University, and we've got a graduate working with us for the next 2 years, and he's putting together all our BIM models for us, so we're really looking forward to that. This is just really a bit of fun. We had some securities consultants come over from Europe last week, and one of their issues, they're the big jewellers, they're companies that own Cartier and a lot of other jewellers, the Richmond Group. One of the things they've been experiencing in their stores is people running into their shops with mopeds, because they can get around the cities quick, pick the shop, and they have sledgehammers on their back, and then they start smashing the counters, and then they're off on mopeds. So the first moped is a sacrificial moped, so they run that into the door, and then they go in. Usually they're out in about 2 minutes. Often they can come away with over £1 million worth of stock, depending on what shopping is they're doing. So we were quite keen to find out what would happen if we rammed a moped into a Warrior door. So we took the top lock off, the top bolt out, we took the bottom bolt out, and we just left the one bolt in place, and we made the door an opening-in door. So that's the Stig actually. He's got no work now. Top Gear's finished, so that was how he ended it all. We then filled up a barrel full of sand and cement, and we let that go at the same door after that test. So we estimated this was going at 29 miles an hour. It was 210 kilograms. And that was Jeremy Clarkson. The door still opened and locked after that test. It's just on one bolt. The glass never even broke on we then went off for lunch. My son decided then to have a bit of fun and just see what would happen if we hit the glass with a forklift truck. So it's a 5,400 kilograms forklift truck, and it actually bounced off it. We just couldn't believe that. That was just, it just was amazing to me. I would never ever have thought that it would have done that. We've never had a panel punched out with a sledgehammer in any of our test programs, but we didn't expect that to happen. So the guys that came over from Europe wanted to actually put on some overalls and try and smash these doors themselves, and they were genuinely shocked that they couldn't get in through the glass. This is only a 20 millimeter panel. That's glass, polycarbonate glass. They were unsuccessful, and we bashed that door for about half an hour. Different people taking it in turns, but you won't get in through it. So. Okay, thank you very much for listening. If anyone's got any questions.